Hello, my friends. Welcome back to another episode of the Basics of Balance. My name is Ariella. I am your host. I'm really excited to kind of just like piggyback off of the last conversation that we had. So if you haven't listened to the last episode, please make sure that you do so, because this is, again, piggybacking off of that. You're going to be like, wait a second, I have a lot of questions. But if you listen to the last episode, you're not going to have a lot of questions, okay? And so this is part 2 of measuring progress. Okay. So last episode, we talked about measuring progress in terms of knowing how to measure progress using physical metrics, such as weighing yourself regularly, such as taking progress pictures and measurements regularly, but also learning how to measure progress in the way of what is our body saying, right? What's going on underneath the surface, such as biofeedback. Okay. And so when biofeedback is off, oftentimes we will see our physical metrics affected as a result of something being off, okay? Something underneath the surface being off that we can't necessarily pinpoint, right? And so that is essentially what we're talking about today, is what variables affect our body's progress, right? Or what variables affect our ability to see progress, right? Whether that's physical or biofeedback. And here's the thing. You're gonna hear a theme the entire episode, and I'm gonna connect this to a few different ways. So you're gonna have to listen to the whole thing because it comes together. But at the end of the day, our body's response to when anything is off, when there is a change in the status quo, when homeostasis is disrupted for whatever reason, that is stress on our body, okay? Our body's natural, normal response to stress is to retain water. And oftentimes, every time, I don't like saying absolutes, but every time our body is under stress, we will see that show up on the scale, okay? Because if our body is retaining water, that water retention will show up on the scale, okay? So oftentimes when we avoid weighing ourselves, we are avoiding seeing fluctuations that are actually helping us, number one, normalize fluctuations and expect them and not freak out when they happen, but learn to use the scale for the intended purpose, such as it's data. It's all data in terms of what your body is going through, how your body is doing, how is it responding to what we're doing, and therefore giving us an idea of what to focus on, okay? And so know that stress causes water retention. Water retention, we therefore see on the scale, okay? And that's not saying anytime that you see a fluctuation, react, emergency. Oftentimes, seeing that fluctuation, it's really just observing. It's really just saying like, oh, okay, that happened. Either A, there's something I can do about it, and now let me do that, or B, there's nothing I can do, and it's just a fluctuation, right? Like, for example, females, that time of the month. Guys, we will always fluctuate that time of the month, but I can't tell you how many times a client I'm working with, we are surprised. And we have, months and years of data, like, oh, every time around this time of the month, see that fluctuation and see it go down. For some reason, it still surprises us, right? I'm the same way. Me and my sisters, we joke a lot because it's like, man, like I'm 36. And so for 36 years or, however many years I've been getting a cycle, you'd think that I would know that it's coming, right? Like you'd think all of the warning signs you'd know. So like, weighing yourself, seeing a fluctuation, feeling bloated, all of that, you'd think it would make sense. And you would know like, oh yeah, no, it's that time of the month. But it's not that simple. Hormones come into play and we think that we're right and all of that stuff. But anyways, sidebar, okay? And so all of that to say, sometimes there's nothing necessarily to do about it. You just observe, right? A fluctuation caused by your cycle. What are you going to do about that? Nothing. It's going to happen, right? But sometimes a fluctuation is something that shows us where we can focus on, right? For example, if your digestion has been off, if you have been constipated, if you've been bloated, if your digestion is off in any way, shape, or form, you're going to see a fluctuation on the scale because your body is stressed out, right? Something is off, digestion is off, something's not working properly. And so your body is retaining water as a result. And that water retention, we see it on the scale. And so if we're doing all of the right things and everything is moving good and, we see that fluctuation, that fluctuation could tell us, oh, hey, nothing is wrong. I just need to focus on my digestion. I need to focus on improving my digestion. So, what kind of things do I need to do in order to improve my digestion based on the fluctuation that reminded me, oh, yeah, I've been kind of stopped up the last couple of days? And some things include making sure that you're hydrated, right? Drinking at least half your body weight in ounces of water, making sure you're getting enough dietary fat. Dietary fat helps move things along, right? Making sure you're eating enough food, okay? When you are not eating enough food, digestion slows because you're not eating as much and therefore there's not as much to move, right? Oftentimes, when I'm working with a client who is, we're in maintenance, everything is moving, everything is grooving. But then when we go into a deficit, when we're eating less, things start to slow down, right? Not in a bad way, just it's a normal process of life. So, are you eating enough food? And then, of course, too, other things such as fiber. Are you eating enough fiber, right? Fiber helps keep things moving and grooving and stuff like that, too. So, all of that to say, fluctuations, sometimes it's just observing, and sometimes it helps us shift our focus to, hey, something is off and now I know what to focus on, right? Rather than oftentimes we see a fluctuation and we therefore want to react. And that reaction is usually in the form of slashing calories, restricting, and or doing a ton of exercise to burn a lot of calories, right? But when we learn how to read the scale, when we learn what variables affect the scale, we are in a better position to understand that 99% of the time, guys, we don't have to do anything when we see a fluctuation. We just have to continue to show up like normal. And we have a few different habits that we can focus on that can keep our stress, help keep our stress barometer at bay as much as possible, and also help us stay as healthy as possible, and also help us see as much physical progress as possible. Okay. So, all of that to say, there are a few habits that are the basics. Okay. When we're talking about the basics versus the specifics, right? The specifics of how do I get my scale to move? Well, are you doing all of these things, right? And so those habits are sleep. Are you getting enough sleep, first of all, enough hours? And also, how is the quality of your sleep, right? And there are a lot of different reasons as to why we do not get in great sleep. And if you are struggling with getting in sleep, hey, I would love to hear from you so that I can help, talk you through this, right? Or give you some suggestions to improve it. Are you getting enough sleep? All right. Because if you're not getting enough sleep, your body is stressed out. From the get go, that foundation, we are already stressed. And so we cannot expect our body to work properly if we are not getting enough sleep. Okay. Period. The second habit is going to be making sure that you are hydrated. So are you drinking enough water? At least half of your body weight in ounces of water a day. That is like minimum. Okay. I don't like it when people say everyone needs to drink 100 ounces of water. Well, for some people, that's too much. And for some people, that's not enough. So, half your body weight in ounces of water. Are you drinking that? Because if you're not, you're dehydrated. And if you're dehydrated, your body is stressed out. And what are we learning when our body is stressed out? What's its natural response? It's going to retain water. We're going to see that show up on the scale. Okay. Um, Next habit is nutritional focus. Okay, so are we eating enough calories, right? And of those calories, are we eating enough of breakdown of those calories, right? Are we having enough protein, carbs, fat, fiber, minerals, vitamins, things like that, right? Um, Staying active through neat activity. We kind of talked about that in the movement episode, but neat activity is typically looked at in the form of steps, going for a walk, but it can be organizing. It can be taking the stairs instead of the escalator. It can be cleaning. It can be other things. It's just staying active, right? So are you active, or are you just doing your structured activity and then not moving for the whole entire day, right? And then activity, right? Or exercise, I should say, designated exercise, whether that's, HIIT workout or strength training workout or whatever the case is. And so those habits we want to focus as individual focuses or as a total focus, right? Like waking up every day and saying, I'm going to practice all five of those habits to the best of my ability. Or maybe you're just having a really rough day. Like I've had a really rough week. And so, like, doing the bare minimum, that is all I can do. And so maybe you're like, hey, listen, I'm getting good sleep. That's all I can do. Or maybe you're like, hey, a workout is not happening in any way, shape, or form, but I'm at least going to do my best to make sure that I'm eating enough food and a good balance of that food. See what I'm saying? So, all of that to say, those are some habits that I practice in my fitness journey, but also that are scientifically backed that I work with my clients to help make sure that we are keeping their stress at bay as much as we can. Okay. Now, not all stress is bad stress. Okay. For example, when you are in a caloric deficit, when you are trying to lose weight or lose fat, that is stress. We are intentionally under eating. We are intentionally not giving our body as much food as it wants in an effort to see some physical changes, right? And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but that is saying, or I should say, this is pointing to um, our body can handle stress for short periods of time because our body is resilient, right? But a deficit causes stress, which is another reason why a deficit is a phase of our journey. It is not supposed to be the journey, okay? We're not just supposed to just not give our body what it needs indefinitely. That's how our body starts breaking down. That's how our body does not have enough of what it needs, and we develop digestive issues, hormone issues like PCOS, all of these things, okay? Because we didn't give our body enough of what it needed. Okay. Now our body is not working properly as a result. It is stressed. So we can get away with short periods of stress, right? And intentional. Get in, get to work, get out. Another example of good kind of stress would be workouts. Working out is stress on your body, please believe, but it's not a bad form of stress. It's making your body stronger, right? It's making your body resilient. And yes, we want to make sure that we are doing what we can to make sure that we are supporting our body, but your body will adapt. Your body is resilient, okay? And so we don't want to necessarily look at stress as this generic response of no, stay away. Not all stress is bad stress, right? And when we are in an age where there is a new problem every time that I open up my Instagram, cortisol seems to be the issue that a lot of people are focused on, I will say. But I also think that a lot of people fail to understand that cortisol or elevated cortisol is not inherently a bad thing. Sustained periods of elevated cortisol, absolutely not a great thing. But that's why we have some healthy habits to focus on to try to keep that stress reduced at bay, right? Inherently speaking. But we can't freak out every time that like we do a workout and like that spikes our cortisol. Again, that's stress on our body. That is a welcomed stress, right? So we have to stop fearing all of these things from like a macro level, right? Same thing with blood sugar spikes. I'm seeing that people are avoiding. No, what did I see the other day? Sourdough is a fantastic, option for bread. It's great fermented foods, awesome, right? But it's bread. It's bread at the end of the day, okay? And a lot of times people also like to have sourdough because it doesn't spike your blood sugar. But guys, there are a lot of foods that spike our blood sugar, and that's just your body's natural response to like digest your food. You know what I mean? Of course, there are exceptions to what I'm saying. You know what I mean? Of course, we don't want to just like say, "Oh, okay, spiking my blood sugar, no big deal. Just spike it all day long." But what I'm saying is, again, these are focusing on specific things rather than focusing on the basics, such as are you sleeping enough? Are you drinking enough? Are you eating enough? Are you eating the right balance of things? Are you moving enough? You see what I'm saying? Like it's the basic habits. It's focusing on the basics instead of focusing on the specifics. And if we focus on the basics, well, then we are doing the best that we can to keep our stress barometer at bay. We don't have to worry about blood sugar spikes when they're supposed to spike. We don't have to worry about cortisol spikes when they're supposed to spike. See what I'm saying? Basics, not specifics. Okay. So let me kind of talk to you guys about a couple of things that affect our bodies, or that affect our progress, if you will, physical progress, but also biofeedback. Okay. And so here is the thing. When we avoid weighing ourselves, we miss out on learning all of this. So, kind of like I talked about in the last episode, we don't want to avoid weighing ourselves. The more that you weigh yourself, actually, same time of the day, of course, but the more that you weigh yourself, the more you are learning this information. And knowledge is power. Okay. It helps us make educated decisions instead of react, right? Or instead of making decisions in fear, right? It's our best chance to stay in control. And so here are a few things that affect your physical progress, such as, your scale, seeing it increase, measurements, and progress pictures. Okay. Um, Sleep. If you do not get good sleep, whether that's duration or whether that's quality, your body is going to be stressed the next day from the get go, period. Okay. So if you don't sleep good, my clients are trained to expect a scale fluctuation. And that's not a bad thing. That's just my kids were up all night. I couldn't do anything about it. Scale fluctuated. But that's such a better response than waking up and being stressed about the scale when you're already stressed out in the first place. You see what I'm saying? It's like, oh my goodness, that's horrible. You couldn't do anything about it. Your kids needed you. It's just something to expect, right? So your scale will fluctuate if you do not get enough sleep, which is why, well, one of the reasons why that is the first foundational habit. Okay. Some things that affect your quality of sleep, or I should say, one thing that affects your quality of sleep is drinking alcohol. Drinking alcohol is not great for us for a few different reasons. First reason is our body metabolizes alcohol first before it metabolizes food whenever we take or whenever we drink alcohol. And so, that's not great because our body is not necessarily using the food we're giving it primarily. But also, second of all, drinking alcohol disrupts your body's ability to get good quality sleep. Okay. And so when we don't sleep great, our hormones never have an opportunity to regulate, right? So things like cortisol, yes, but also hormones such as like your hunger hormones, guys. Okay. And so when you don't sleep great, whether it's just you didn't get good sleep because of life or you didn't get good sleep because you drank alcohol, you will be hungrier the next day and you will also see a scale fluctuation. So when you expect these things, now you're in a better position to know what to do or to just simply observe. Okay. Also, when you do not sleep great, whether that's lack of, being able to or drinking alcohol, your blood sugar also never really has a chance to regulate. Okay. So instead of focusing on the specific foods that spike your blood sugar, which 90% of the time is a normal process that just our body does as digestion, why do we not just focus on getting good quality sleep? Okay. And if we get good quality sleep, not saying that it's going to take all your problems away, but I hope that you're starting to see, oh, yeah, focus on the basics instead of the specifics. Because if we focus on the basics, then we're going to, be in a better position the next day to, have reduced cortisol inherently, to have, reduced blood sugar spikes inherently. See what I'm saying? But if we don't get good quality sleep, whether it's from alcohol or whether it's just because of life, expect a scale fluctuation, expect to not feel motivated to work out. Don't use that not feeling energized or motivated as an excuse. It's just a hurdle that you have to overcome from not sleeping good. I do think that there is a line of reason that says if you're not getting good quality sleep, we should not be forcing ourselves to work out. Because if we are not getting good quality sleep, your body is also not recovering at the end of the day. Okay. And if our body is not recovering, we are starting every single workout in a strength deficit or a recovery deficit. And that not only is number one, going to continue to add stress on your body, which is what we're trying to avoid, it is also going to increase your risk of injury. Okay. If your body is not recovered, and you're still just like pushing 100% because no pain, no gain, or you think you have to for whatever reason, that's not great. Again, your body can only do what it can do with what we give it. And if we're not giving it enough support and we're just asking too much of it, it's going to start breaking down. Okay. And so, there's a fine line between, don't use not sleeping good as an excuse to not get in your workout, but also maybe we adapt the kind of workout we do, right? Maybe we want to keep the habit alive of getting in movement every single day, but maybe that movement every day is not a weight training session. Maybe that movement every day is, hey, you know what? I didn't sleep good. I'm just going to go for a walk instead. I'm moving my body, but I'm acknowledging I didn't have, enough sleep, and therefore it's not as beneficial to me to get in a workout at this point, right? Um, So, when we are not sleeping good, look at everything that is affected as a result, right? And those are just a few things, obviously. Now, something else that will cause our, scale to fluctuate, that will also cause us to feel more puffy, if you will, like more soft. We're not as defined. We might even like feel bloated, is when we eat more carbs than usual. Okay. And here's the thing, guys, carbs get a really bad rep because, over the years, we have been told over and over and over again that carbs not only prevent you from being able to lose weight, but they also make you gain weight. And the reason that most people don't understand is carbohydrate. Hydrate is in the name of carbs, but we ignore that half of the side. But if we use the full word, it's actually going to help us normalize this a little bit more. So carbohydrates, anytime, well, let me back up for a second. Your body's preferred source of energy is carbs. Okay. Your body will use whatever you give it to run on energy because, again, your body is resilient. But giving your body anything and just saying, oh, do the best with what I'm giving you is not the same as giving your body what it prefers. Okay. So carbs are your body's preferred source of energy, and the human brain, relatively speaking, needs about 130 grams of carbs a day for optimal brain function. Okay. And so carbs are not the enemy because carbs are what our body wants in a lot of ways, right? And so at the end of the day, the reason that people think that they gain weight when they have carbs is because every time you have at least 1 gram of carb, you are taking in at least 3 to 4 grams of water. Okay. So think about that. If you are having 100 grams of carbs a day, think about how much water you are taking in. And if you're taking in all that water, and we're just talking about how when your body retains water, we see it on the scale. Well, if you're taking in more water, you're also going to see that on the scale. And also, you will feel less defined, right? You will feel puffier. You might feel a little bit bloated, but you're not gaining weight. It's just water, and it's a temporary water or increased water intake. Okay. So over time, over a couple of days of just continuing to eat like normal, move like normal, sleep like normal, all of that stuff, you will see, whatever spike you did see, whatever fluctuation you did see, regulate over time. Okay. It will help normalize that for you. Um, and so we don't necessarily want to avoid carbs. We just want to know how our body responds to having carbs, right? And so you can eat carbs when you're trying to lose weight. That's also another reason why when people go on like low or no carb diets, they drop weight so fast because they're dropping that water weight. Okay. And that's another reason why when people get off of those extreme unsustainable diets, they gain a lot of weight back. Some of that weight gain, yes, is fat gain because if diets worked, we wouldn't be in the obesity pandemic that we are currently in. But, at the end of the day, all that weight gain is partial fat gain. Yes, of course, because we are eating more as a result of restriction, because that's what happens. Anytime we are in a restrictive state, our body overcompensates as a result. But also, that's water weight. Your water weight's coming back, right? Your muscles are filling up with glycogen again. Your skin is drinking it all up. Your brain is, expanding, all of that stuff, right? So carbs are not the enemy, is my point. But when we have more carbs than usual, when there's a change in the status quo, we're going to see a fluctuation as a result. And that's not a bad thing. That's nothing to react. That's just something to observe. Okay. Um, uh, if you eat more sodium than usual, your body's going to retain water, right? Think about salt. Think about what happens, when we have salt. Our body retains water. It sucks that water. It attracts that water. Okay, so we're going to see that on the scale. All right, and then also too, when we eat later than normal, okay, things such as intermittent fasting are still really like prevalent in our society, right? And there are positives to fasting, but as it relates to maintaining a healthy weight or trying to lose weight, you do not have to intermittent fast, period. You can eat at whatever time of the day, period. And females specifically would benefit from not intermittent fasting, aka skipping breakfast. Okay, so a lot of the information, such as carbs and also intermittent fasting, is just not accurate, period. But as it relates to intermittent fasting, you can eat at whatever time of the day you want. Oftentimes, I'm eating right before I fall asleep on the couch. Because I love to eat at night. I save a lot of, my daily food that I get to spend, if you will, for night, because I love my nighttime munchies. It's one of my favorite things to do at the end of the night. Just turn your brain off and just munch, whether it's popcorn or whatever the case is. Um, and so, anyways, all that to say, eating later at night does not cause you to gain weight, but what it might do is eating later at night might not be giving your body enough time to digest that food. And therefore, when you weigh yourself in the morning and your body has not processed everything that you ate the night before, your scale is going to show that, hey, we're still processing things. Digestion is a little off, not in a bad way. It's just a little off because we ate a little bit normal or ate later than normal. There's a change in the status quo. There's that water retention again. See what I'm saying? Nothing to react about, just something to observe. Okay. Um, and so, if we're dehydrated, we're going to see that on the scale. So there are those variables that affect what the scale says, and arguably, what our measurements and pictures say. But at the end of the day, sometimes it's about observing and sometimes it's about understanding, okay, well, what can we focus on? And not everything is a problem to solve. Not everything is something to react to. Oftentimes, when I am working with a client who is traveling, right, we take progress pictures every 30 days, measurements every 30 days. And if they're traveling and it's time for progress pictures, we will decide, we'll say, hey, let's wait. Let's wait on pictures. Let's wait on measurements because you're a little bloated right now. You're retaining some water because you were traveling, you were in the air, altitude changes. Of course, that's going to affect your body. And so let's not give ourselves a false sense of progress. Let's wait until your body has acclimated and normalized, and then let's measure. Then let's actually see what's going on, right? Um, and so not everything involves or not everything requires a reaction. Sometimes it's just about observing and learning what variables affect our bodies physical progress is going to be really helpful for you when you are monitoring your physical progress to know what's maybe going on. Because 99% of the time, the issue is not that you need to eat less and move more. The issue is not that you need to work harder. There is no issue. You know what I mean? Like there's nothing wrong necessarily. And if we are making sure that we are practicing some of those foundational habits, then we know that we are keeping our stress uh, barometer at bay from a fundamental standpoint as much as we can. And then we don't have to worry about stress so much as cortisol, insulin response. And I'm not saying that those things are not bad things, but I think that like it's not as big of a deal as Instagram is making it seem. I'll just say that. And so all of that to say, that is kind of just like a little example of before we focus on, hey, I'm measuring my progress. Now I know what variables affect the progress. And if you see that fluctuation, instead of focusing on the specifics, such as I need to lower my cortisol, I need to lower my stress in some way, shape, or form, awesome. The same habits that are going to improve your overall health, that are going to help you see the physical changes that you want to see, are also going to keep your stress barometer at bay. And therefore, when you weigh yourself, when you measure yourself, your biofeedback, all of that is working as properly as possible because you are doing the basics. You are focusing on the basics that keep your body working properly, that keep your body in homeostasis, right? Because when our body is out of homeostasis, what happens? Pop quiz. No one's listening, but pop quiz. What happens when our body's not at homeostasis? It's stressed, water retention. Okay. So I hope that that was helpful for you. I hope that that made sense. And if you have any questions about that, as you know, there's a form at the bottom of this, or in the caption, I should say, that if you have any questions about anything that I cover today or in any other episode, and you want to know how that relates to you and your journey, fill out the form. Let me know. You don't even have to put your name on there if you don't want to, but let me know if there's something that I can further explain or maybe go into that, can help you in your journey. The next episode is actually going to be a suggestion from somebody. for a topic related to deload week. Okay, deload week, and why is it beneficial and all of that stuff. So, love to hear from you guys, and hopefully that was helpful for you. Don't forget to subscribe so that you can be in the know for all the new episodes and whatnot. And let's keep this party going. Okay, focus on those basics. There are some specific habits. Now you kind of know why scales fluctuate. Don't freak out. Totally normal. Keep on keeping on. You do you. Keep showing up, doing your best. I'll see you guys next time.